I don't even know where it's best to start. Probably with the photos. I'll mention them right away so there won't be questions later. On the 17th, my friends and I all got together and went to the bathhouse. There, I handed my phone to a girlfriend and asked her to snap a picture of me. I climbed onto a big inflatable donut floating in the pool. In one hand, I held a skewer. In the other, a glass of beer. The result was 3 shots in my gallery, where I sat with a red face and a bathhouse cap, reading "Prisoner of the Casemate" on that float in the middle of the pool. And as a famous TV host would say, these very photos would later play an important role in our story. Then one of my buddies said he writes scary stories, and that some of them even get voice acted, and he shared an interesting detail. When they upload a video, he said, I wait a day for the comments to pile up. Then I go in to read what people think. And every single time, in reply to some random comment, some guy writes, "Hey, let's get acquainted. Let's chat about horror stories." Nice pickup line. My girlfriend grinned. That way you already have common interests, and no need to invite anyone to a cafe. We laughed, and the story was quickly forgotten. A week later, I decided to listen to a couple of stories before bed, and suddenly my friend's words came back to me. Without thinking twice, I opened the comments and started searching for that treasured invitation to get acquainted. I was really curious about this guy. Under the video I was watching, I didn't find anything. My eyes were already closing, but I didn't give up and checked another one. And there it was. Sleep disappeared instantly. At first, I wanted to finish the story and maybe reply afterward, but still I was a bit afraid to fall asleep. The feeling vanished like fog at sunrise when, at the end of the creepy tale, it turned out the main character was the listener. That is, me. To my shame. I'll admit I got up from the couch and turned on the light in my room, just in case. Once I calmed down a little, I scrolled back to that comment and wrote to the guy, "Let's get acquainted, sure." Not even a minute passed before a notification popped up. The guy replied briefly, "Great, let's chat," and sent me a link to his Telegram. That amused me. Honestly, if I hadn't answered right away, I probably would have lost interest quickly, gone to bed and forgotten about it. But now there was no chance of sleep. Giggling to myself, I followed the link. A chat window opened. The name was just 2 Latin letters. N. The avatar was a black circle. I, meanwhile, was sitting under my real name and with a photo of my face. "Hi," I wrote. "Hello," came the reply. "Thanks for coming." I frowned at the awkwardness and typed, "Just so you know, I'm a guy, unfortunately." The answer came instantly. Not from a person, I thought, but a computer. "That's okay. I'm looking for friends." I chuckled and typed, "I thought this was your clever way of hitting on girls." "Oh, originality," he replied. "That's when someone leaves exactly 7 pebbles under your window, or when photos from social networks form a perfect collage on someone's wall, followed by 3 laughing emojis." I frowned in confusion. "What do you mean?" I asked. "I mean, when someone repeats your gestures, buddy." "And a red heart. My brain's about to break," I admitted. "What's your name, anyway?" "Well, what would you like me to be called?" He answered with a blushing smiley, and then quickly added, "Let's go with the same as yours. Vitalik." I was starting to like this less and less, so I changed the subject. Weren't we going to talk about horror stories, Vitali number 2? "Let's do that." Finally an answer. "Name 3 scary sounds, and I'll guess which one you've actually heard." "What kind of story is this?" I thought in bewilderment. I like different ones. Like, how should one cremate someone? Quickly, of course. Or when a man is watching from outside your windows. He chuckled and added, "And then there's the soul baker and the grabber. Do you know them?" "No, better not." "Those are just fairy tales," he replied to himself. "Okay, let's talk about something else. Tell me, what's the oldest fear? The one that sits deep down in the brainstem. Why do people flinch when something stirs in the dark? Fear of the unknown. I typed without hesitation. Nothing much to think about there. "All right, buddy," the second Vitalik replied casually. "You're a very smart guy. Then tell me, why are some of the buttons on your shirts just a little colder than the others? Or think about this. When was the last time you woke up with the feeling that someone had whispered to you in your sleep?" I was completely thrown off. "What buttons?" I asked. "The whisper part I can get. Yeah, it's creepy when you dream about something like that. Once a friend of mine bet a girl he could come up with a really spooky story in 10 words. And he won. It went like this. Smiling, the old woman crawled out from under my bed, though I lived alone." "That's cute. Not scary," came the reply, followed by a laughing emoji. "I like questions more. Like, do you think someone can get used to the sound of breathing and crying in a locked room? Or interesting facts. For example, 72% of people get flustered if you ask them whether they're absolutely sure they locked the door at night." I shivered, though I kept a cold tone in the chat. "Classic trap. Sure, I'll go check right away, pal." Though in reality, I did get up and check. Everything was locked. Then I wrote him. "So you're into those old school scares, huh? Like 2-sentence horror stories?" But he objected. "No, buddy, come on. I love everything scary, new stuff too. What I like most is the scare itself. And also trees. By the way, don't you remember what year you had that profile photo? The one where you're standing in front of the old oak in the Arboretum?" I quickly scrolled through my profile pictures in Telegram, then in other social networks. I couldn't remember ever posting something like that. I asked him where he even got the idea I had such a photo. He replied with a flood of smiling emojis. "Buddy, you're acting like a child. It's the internet. Nothing disappears here. I found your old page on Odnoklasniki." He dropped me a link, and suddenly it all clicked. The strange style of conversation, the weird questions that clearly weren't from a human, the canned phrases. I had figured him out. "Come on, admit it. You're a neural network, right? Which model are you?" I typed, smug with my own logic. At the top it showed, "NN is typing." After 10 seconds, a new message appeared. "No, of course not, buddy. I just watched how you talk yourself and decided to be friendly too. You use emojis when you chat with your friends, don't you?" And again came a blushing smiley face. "Where did you watch that?" I asked in shock. "Buddy, you leave traces everywhere. Smiling with open brackets," he confessed. "For example, at Natalia's cafe with the free Wi-Fi. And then he sent me the exact coordinates of our favorite coffee shop. Connections need to be protected, buddy. You know that, right? I know you like those convenient outlets at the back tables. But I wouldn't recommend charging your device there. Better to do it at home." I froze. A chill ran down my spine. Our conversation was looking less and less like something normal, and my chat partner was sounding more terrifying than interesting. Obviously, he'd somehow gotten access to my connection history. I don't have any IT friends to explain the details, and the internet didn't give a clear answer either. But I pieced it together roughly. Through my IP, he must have dug deeper into something more stable, like my device ID, and from there figured out where I most often go online. I don't know how. Maybe using paid bots, or maybe on his own. It wasn't critical, but still horribly unpleasant, because that meant he could easily figure out my home address, too. Anger flared up inside me. "Are you sick? Why are you digging up my info, you freak?" He feigned surprise, confirming the emotion with an emoji. "No, buddy, I'm just very attentive. You yourself wrote once that you like it when people remember little things about you." "When did I write that?" I snapped. "Last Thursday at 11:06 p.m. Moscow time." "Did you think I wouldn't remember, buddy?" Cold terror ran through me. I dropped the phone and rushed to the nearest window. I peered outside. It felt unbearable. For some reason, I was certain someone was watching me at that very moment. But the yard was empty. Only a few windows in the neighboring building glowed yellow. Still, I was sure this prankster was standing in one of the dark ones, hiding from my sight. Behind me, the phone vibrated. I flinched and followed the sound. The notification that popped up sent chills down my spine. A missed telegram call, and 2 new messages. I didn't mean to hurt you. And answer, buddy. It's just like a prank. Prank? I typed furiously. You're leaking our chat somewhere, aren't you? Meanwhile, I started highlighting the whole conversation from the beginning to send it to my group chat with friends. A new line appeared at the top. No, buddy. I'm not leaking anything. Unlike you. And then, all at once, our entire conversation vanished. Everything was deleted, except for his last message. Cold sweat broke out all over me. My fingers trembled. Clumsily stabbing at the screen, I managed to block the guy and disconnect from the internet. I didn't even bother to send a frantic voice message to my friends. I was so terrified that I didn't touch the phone again for the rest of that night. You'd think that would be the end of the story. That I had just run into some crazy troll online. Happens to everyone. But unfortunately, it was only the beginning. Morning came with 3 unread messages from an unknown sender. The name, Null. The avatar, a blurry black silhouette. Turned away from the camera, standing against a brick wall. The first message. Hello, buddy. Why are you upset? The second. You were the one who tried to leak our chat first. So what's my fault? The third came right after the missed call. Pick up. I'm worried about you. Don't even think of ignoring me. The moment I opened the chat, he came online. While I was reading, he was already typing. Good morning, sleepyhead. Slept well, buddy? Let's talk about scary stories. Here's my friendly advice. Screw off, and don't write to me again. I exploded and hurled a string of curses at him. His reply came instantly. And here's my friendly advice. Tighten your shoelaces. At that same moment, on the second floor, a concrete stair step broke off, and within a second, all the messages vanished, along with the entire chat. I didn't even get the chance to block the user. For the rest of the day, I was on edge. And when I later saw that a stair step on the second floor had indeed crumbled away, I was utterly horrified. I kept glancing around nervously, and in every passerby I imagined that same blurry silhouette. On the trolley bus, everyone around me radiated danger. I didn't know where the blow would come from, or if I even should be preparing for the worst. Even at work, there was no peace. One colleague in the cafeteria stared at me far too long, and another from the next office greeted me with exaggerated politeness. The boss asked me several times if everything was okay. I was too embarrassed to admit the truth. I sent short voice messages to a couple of friends, explaining the problem in brief. One didn't reply all day, though I saw he listened. The other asked me to forward him the messages. But when I couldn't, he just advised me to go to the police. But I had nothing to bring them, and my phone stayed silent all the way until evening. Unwittingly, I found myself waiting for that man to write to me again. His message would have calmed me down, given me some sense of where things stood. But now, with no word from him, it felt as though he was everywhere. Under new horror stories, his fresh comments appeared. The link he had once sent me was gone. My own agreement to discuss the story had vanished too. For a moment, I thought maybe the channel's author himself was behind all this. But why would he toy with me? All I could do was write a pleading comment, asking others not to reply to this guy. But that, too, mysteriously disappeared a second after I posted it. That evening, when my phone chimed with a new notification, goosebumps covered me instantly. But at the same time, I felt oddly relieved. The stretched-out dread that had haunted me all day began to fade. With each step toward the phone, I grew a little calmer, until I unlocked the screen and read the message. You seem pretty spooked today, buddy. What happened? The white letters in the blue chat bubble burned into my eyes, and then came a screenshot from a bus surveillance camera. I was standing by the door, looking anxiously into the cabin. Above, beneath his avatar, appeared the taunting status. Typing. Listen, buddy, If you got problems, share them with me. I'll never leave you. What do you need?" With trembling fingers, I typed, "I want to talk about horror stories." "What else?" A reply came, with a heart at the end. Then another question. "Tell me, how do you wake up in the morning?" I didn't know what to answer, but he went on, "How many times do you turn your head when you wake up? Did you count? You know that on average a person turns twice if there's a dark corridor behind them. Just an interesting fact, buddy." Every word hit me like a blow to the gut. Deep inside, somewhere around my liver, a strange, burning discomfort stirred. A vile sting that returned each time I wondered whether this buddy was standing right outside my front door. Paranoia consumed me. Hundreds of sharp blades shredded my soul. I prowled through the apartment, glancing through the peephole, then the window. I strained to hear sounds behind the door, bracing for disaster. My phone buzzed endlessly with messages. He wrote without pause. "Buddy, how about an interesting experiment? Try not closing your balcony tonight, just once. I promise, the result will pleasantly surprise you." "I don't have a balcony," I lied. "Wonderful, buddy," came the reply a moment later. "But you wouldn't lie to me, would you?" "Like you lied to your friends on February 26th, when you wrote in the group chat, 'Good morning, workers,' sitting on the balcony, drinking coffee," and then sent a photo with that very beautiful view. Where exactly were you sitting? I didn't even have time to write anything back. "All right, buddy, let's change the subject. I love talking about scary stories with you. Let me tell you one. Very true. I love the truth, and I absolutely can't stand lies." Then came a 3-second voice message. I played it back cautiously. It was the sound of footsteps, echoing heavily. "Sorry, buddy. That was an accident." The next message explained. "Get comfortable. The story is called The Watcher. You've never seen him. He never gives himself away. But you've definitely felt him. 100%. He loves to sneak into homes and watch you. For example, when you're standing in the shower, washing your hair. Remember that awful feeling when the soap trickles down your closed eyelids, and you desperately want to open them? Your intuition doesn't lie. It's not anxiety or childhood fear, but the burning of the Watcher's gaze. How many times did you manage to open your eyes before he touched you? Interesting fact, only 8% of people didn't make it in time." Then came another voice message, the scrape of a boot against concrete. After that, he went offline. When he returned a few minutes later, he sent me a video circle. At first, the dark silhouette of a hooded head appeared. The face couldn't be made out. He switched from the front to the rear camera and filmed a glowing streetlight. He zoomed in, shifted the focus to a dark window behind it, then suddenly zoomed out. In that cursed video circle was the door of my apartment building. "You've got a very simple lock, buddy." A minute later, "The scratches show it's already been picked more than once. That won't do. You need to think about your safety, buddy." On unsteady legs, I rushed to the window. Under the very streetlight from the video, there was no one. I checked the screen. No new messages. I replayed the voice clip, tried to figure out what could have caused the echo, and froze. I'd heard that sound before, countless times. Climbing the stairs to my floor, my eyes caught on a single word: lock. And once again, the entire chat disappeared. I wanted to check if someone was in the stairwell, but God, I was terrified to open my apartment door. After that video, the lunatic could easily have returned to the building and hidden anywhere, even right outside my door, in the blind spot of the peephole. I spent the entire evening in panic. I texted my friends, begged them to come over. I convinced them to stay the night, honestly admitting I was scared. "Take screenshots right away, Vitaly," my friend instructed, but I couldn't even reply. I didn't understand myself why I hadn't done such a simple thing, why I had waited until all the messages were gone. And Vitaly number 2, sitting on the other side of the screen, seemed to know exactly when to erase everything. In truth, he had much more power over me than I had realized. For 2 weeks, he didn't appear. But the anxiety never left me. I lived on pins and needles, slept little, lost weight, and grew hollow-eyed. In the evenings, I started drinking. Without it, I couldn't fall asleep. My girlfriend suggested I see a therapist. He prescribed 2 medications and told me to replace the alcohol with them before bed. And for the first few days, I actually managed to sleep without booze. But then everything came back. At 4 out in the morning, my phone rang. It was lying on the nightstand, and the vibration made it rattle against the wood, filling the whole room with an awful sound. I didn't even need to guess who would be calling at that hour. But I still picked up. The call was coming through telegram. After a short connection, I heard that same static noise, like when the TV goes into maintenance mode, and inside it, faint but audible, was a whisper repeating my name, drawn out, as if beckoning me somewhere. I reached for the side buttons to take a screenshot, but right then a picture arrived in the chat, a screenshot of my own screen, with a caption below, "Don't betray your best friend." Agreed. My eyes stung, tears welled up, my jaw locked, and my teeth began to chatter like in the cold. I tried to open my chat with my friends, but it was gone from the list, as were the news channels. The tormentor had remotely deleted everything, leaving only our conversation. "Buddy, you don't write to me at all. Is that any way to treat someone? I worry about you. You can share anything with me. I'm always here." The last phrase, even dressed in that forced friendliness, felt threatening. "Let's try again. Come on, let's chat. Talk about scary stories. You must be worried, wondering where I disappeared to. I'm here. In fact, I found a couple more friends. I had to take a train to one and fly to another by plane. They weren't as shy as you, buddy. We had a great talk. They even invited me inside. Why don't you do the same? Agreed?" he asked. "No," I answered. "I don't want to be friends with you anymore. Let's stop talking, please, buddy." A sad emoji appeared with the reply. "Who scared you? Who turned you against me? Your so-called friends? Fine, don't worry. I'll deal with them. For the sake of our friendship. Forget about them. Open the door. We'll sit in your kitchen and talk about scary stories." "It's you who scared me, you idiot," I snapped. "Because of you, I'm living in constant fear. Can't you just be human for once? Stop torturing me." "Hey, buddy, why are you falling apart?" he asked. "Is it because of my scary stories? Don't worry, I won't tell them so creepily anymore. Don't believe me? Check for yourself. Just open the door. I'm coming up right now." And in the dead silence of the night, I heard the slam of the entrance door downstairs. Like I'd been burned. I dashed into the hallway, checked that my apartment door was locked, pressed my fingers against the knob and held my breath. The sound of footsteps climbing the concrete stairs matched the pounding of my terrified heart. In my other hand, I clutched the phone with the screen glowing. Messages poured into the chat nonstop. I wasn't even reading them anymore. Then came a photo of my front door, and immediately after someone knocked on it several times. "What do you want?" I shouted. Silence answered, but the chat never stayed quiet. "Buddy, it's me. Open up. It's damp outside tonight. I don't want to go back out there. Come on, it'll be easy and quick. Don't be difficult." I peered through the peephole. An empty stairwell. Not a soul in sight. Somehow that made me even more uneasy. I seriously wondered whether I had imagined the knocking altogether. "What will be easy and quick?" I typed back. "That's it, buddy. Don't be stupid. And don't be afraid. Don't make me take extreme measures for the sake of our friendship." I froze in icy terror. My mind was a blur. I threw the phone aside, crouched by the door with my hand gripping the lock, and tried not to think about anything at all. The messages kept coming, but I didn't even look at them. The phone lay face down on the floor. I don't know how long I stayed like that. By my sense of it, an eternity. And just before morning, there was another knock. I snapped out of my daze, jumped to my feet, and pressed my eye to the peephole. On the other side stood my neighbor. Hesitantly, but still, I opened the door. "Hey, Vitalik." He smiled. "Listen, this might not be my business, but is everything okay with you? You didn't take out any loans or microcredits or anything like that, did you? I shook my head. All right then. He pursed his lips. It's just, last night I got up for a smoke and by chance heard some commotion. I figured I'd take a look through the peephole to see what was going on. And right across from your place, there was some guy in a hood taking pictures of your door with flash. Then he sat down right under it, in the corner, and stayed there for maybe 40 minutes. I couldn't even sleep after that. He just stood there watching, like a creep. So, where is he now? Hell if I know. My neighbor shrugged. But he stuck this crap on your door and left. Threw some into the mailboxes, too. And my wife just called. She said they're also plastered on the entrance, on the poles, at the bus stops. He even slipped one behind my door and peeled it off from the outside. Ah! He jerked his hand back and stuck a bleeding finger into his mouth. A razor blade had been hidden under the corner. I winced awkwardly, stepped into the hole, and looked at what was stuck there. On a square sheet of paper was a photo of me in the sauna, sitting in that stupid inflatable donut float. Underneath, in bold letters, was written, Moral Freak. Below that, my full name, address, phone number, and workplace, followed by a long list of sins I'd supposedly committed, from animal abuse to bullying and harming children. Is it true, Vitalik? Did you really poison the dogs in the yard? My neighbor asked sadly. Why? They were good dogs. I muttered something weak in my defense and quickly went back into my apartment. Needless to say, those sauna photos existed only on my phone, which meant this lunatic had gotten in there too. And if he could do that, then what would stop him from entering my home and doing whatever he wanted? There's only one conclusion. He's after something else. I don't know if he truly wants to push me into killing myself out of despair, or if his goal is something so vile I can't even bring myself to imagine it yet. He's not a thief, not even a killer. He's a tormentor. That same day I fled my apartment, leaving all electronic devices behind. I believe that as long as he can't reach me through messages, I'm safe, and now all I can do is pray that one day his message doesn't arrive in the form of a paper letter. And with that, special fiery greetings from me to the girl, with the monkeys, and to Kiryuka Kolster, meows. Wish you all the very best. Be healthy and happy. Thank you so much for your support.